I never thought I'd be the guy posting something like this, but here I am. My name's Dave, and I've been married to Lisa for about 7 years now. We met in college, and honestly, I thought we had a pretty solid relationship. She's smart, ambitious, and I always believed we had a real connection. But over the last few months, things started feeling off. She became more irritable, snapping at me over small stuff, and seemed obsessed with her fitness routine. Not that I was jealous of her working out, but she'd suddenly spend hours at the gym, come back looking exhausted and tense, and brush off my questions about what she'd been doing. At first, I thought she was just trying to get in shape for some upcoming event, or maybe her health was finally catching up with her age. But then I noticed her phone activity changed. She was more secretive, hiding her screen when I'd walk in the room, deleting texts, or logging out of apps. She'd also start canceling plans last minute, claiming she had busy days at work, but I knew her schedule. I trusted her, but I also felt that little niggling doubt, something was going on. I could just feel it. One particular thing tipped me off even more. About 3 weeks ago, I decided to surprise her by showing up at her Pilates class. I thought it might be nice to see her in her element, watch her do her thing. I didn't tell her I was coming, just wanted to catch her unguarded. I parked outside the studio, waited for her to finish, and then I saw her come out with her instructor, a guy named Mark. They were laughing, joking, and I swear, Lisa looked different, more relaxed, more intimate. It was strange, but I told myself, maybe I'm just overthinking it. But then, 2 days later, I got an email from a woman named Jenny. She's a member of the same gym and had uploaded a workout tutorial on the studio's community board. The video was a clip of her doing some stretches, and just behind her, out of focus but clear enough, was Lisa and Mark. I replayed it over and over, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. There she was in the studio, with her hands all over Mark, her body pressed against his, her legs wrapped around his waist during some awkwardly intimate pose. And the way she looked at him, as if he was the only person in the world. I felt like I'd been stabbed in the gut. This wasn't just some innocent flirtation or a mistake. It was full-blown cheating. I didn't even know what to do at first. I kept staring at the video, feeling every bit of betrayal. Lisa had always been bitchy. Yes, she could be a pain in the ass, but I never thought she'd do something like this. And what made it worse? She lied about everything since I found out. Said she was working late, that she was just doing some extra Pilates classes, that Mark was just a friend trying to help her with her posture. Bitch, please. That night I couldn't sleep. My mind kept racing. I kept thinking about all the times she'd snapped at me, the little lies, the fake smiles she gave when I asked how her day was. I felt numb, angry, and deeply hurt. This wasn't just betrayal of my trust. It felt like my entire life was a lie. I wanted to confront her right then, but I also knew I needed to plan. Because if she was willing to cheat on me, I had to be prepared for whatever she'd throw back at me. I didn't want to go in guns blazing, but I knew that, from this point on, everything was going to change. I decided I'd wait until the next morning to talk to her. There were a few things I needed to see, to hear, before I made any moves. But deep down, I already knew. My marriage was crumbling, and I had to figure out what I was going to do about it. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. My stomach was churning, and my mind kept replaying that damn video of Lisa with Mark. I couldn't believe she'd do something so blatant, so obvious. All those little signs now made sense. Her secretive behavior, the canceled plans, her irritability. I felt like I'd been blind, but now I saw everything clearly. I knew I had to confront her, but I also wanted to be strategic. I didn't want her to spin some sob story that I couldn't disprove. I spent the morning gathering evidence. Downloaded the video onto my phone, took screenshots of the messages she'd exchanged with Mark, and even looked through her social media. I needed to be sure I wasn't imagining things. Honestly, I felt sick. Part of me wanted to just leave the house, walk away, and forget she ever existed. But a bigger part knew that I needed answers, and I had to hear her lie to my face. When she finally came down for breakfast, she was her usual bitchy self, snapping at me for no reason, acting like I was the one overreacting. I kept my cool, but inside I was boiling. I looked her straight in the eye and said, "Lisa, we need to talk right now." Her face froze for a second, then she rolled her eyes, but she didn't say no. I pulled out my phone and I showed her the video. Her face immediately turned pale. "You've got some explaining to do," I said calmly but firmly. Her eyes darted around, trying to find a way out, but she knew she was caught. She finally scoffed and said, "Oh, please, that's just a workout video. You're overreacting. You're paranoid." She tried to brush it off, but I wasn't buying it. I told her I saw her with Mark, that I knew everything and that her lies weren't going to work anymore. I wasn't naive enough to think she'd admit to anything right there, but I needed her to know I wasn't stupid. Her reaction was classic Lisa, defensive, bitchy, trying to turn it around on me. "You're crazy," she snapped. "You're just jealous because Mark is actually nice and knows what he's doing. Unlike you, who's been too busy working all the time to notice I'm not happy." That struck a nerve. I shot her a look and said, "You're not just not happy, Lisa. You're cheating on me with your Pilates instructor in the studio where everyone can see it. Do you even hear yourself right now?" She sneered and crossed her arms. "Oh, so now I'm a cheat. Maybe if you paid more attention to me, I wouldn't have had to find someone else for validation." That was her go-to: blame me, twist everything around. She kept denying, saying Mark was just a friend, that it was innocent, that I was overthinking. But I knew better. I saw what I saw. I heard what I heard in her voice when she lied. And I felt the cold punch of betrayal deepen. The room felt smaller, tighter, like I was suffocating. I wanted to scream, to break something, but I kept my composure. Inside, I was a tornado of rage, heartbreak, and humiliation. I couldn't believe I had married someone so manipulative and dishonest. My mind raced with all the moments I'd ignored, all the signs I'd dismissed. This wasn't just an affair. It was her telling me she didn't respect me, didn't care about me, and was perfectly willing to betray me in the worst way possible. I told her that I needed space, that I wasn't going to tolerate her bullshit anymore. I told her I was done with her lies and I was going to think about what I wanted to do next. As I left the house, she yelled after me, calling me crazy and accusing me of trying to control her. But I already knew this wasn't about control. It was about respect. And she had completely lost mine. Deep down, I knew this was the end, but part of me felt like I was just getting started on the biggest betrayal of my life. After I left the house that morning, I didn't go far. I just parked around the corner and sat in my car, trying to process everything. My head was pounding, and I kept replaying her words, her sneers, that damn video. I was furious, but at the same time, I felt this horrible emptiness settle in. How could she have lied so effortlessly? How could someone I trusted so much turn out to be this manipulative, selfish person? The betrayal was cutting deep, and I wondered how I had missed all the signs for so long. I knew I needed to get some space, so I didn't call her right away. Instead, I started thinking about what I was going to do next. My first instinct was to confront her again, but I realized that wouldn't solve anything right now. She'd just deny everything, spin some bullshit, and I'd be back at square one. I had to gather my thoughts and decide what I really wanted. In the meantime, I reached out to a couple of close friends, guys I knew I could trust. I needed someone to talk to, someone who wouldn't judge me harshly just because my world was collapsing. They listened, gave me some advice, and told me I deserved better than someone who would cheat on me and lie to my face. That helped a little, but the pain was still real. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and honestly kind of lost. That evening, I decided to go back home, but I was prepared for her to be there, acting innocent or trying to blame me. When I pulled into the driveway, the house was quiet. No yelling, no crying, no frantic excuses. I stepped inside and everything looked normal except for the fact that I knew her secret now. My stomach clenched and I felt the need to get this over with. I found Lisa in the kitchen pouring herself a glass of wine. She looked up when she saw me, her eyes narrow and defensive. I didn't waste any words. I just said, "We need to talk. No more lies, Lisa. I saw the video. I know what you're doing and I know who you're doing it with." Her face twisted with a mixture of contempt and shock. She tried to act nonchalant, like she wasn't caught red-handed, but it was clear she was rattled. "Honestly, Dave," she said with that bitchy tone she always used when she was trying to dismiss someone, "you're overreacting. It's not what you think. Mark's just helping me with my form. It's nothing serious." I couldn't believe her. She was lying right to my face as if I was supposed to believe some bullshit about a workout partnership. I shook my head and said, "Don't lie to me. I saw the video. I saw how close you were, how you looked at him like he was the only person in the world. You're cheating and you're lying about it." She rolled her eyes, took a sip of her wine, and then shot back, "Oh, so now I'm a cheater. You're just jealous because I'm finally doing something for myself. Mark's just a friend and I don't even see him like that." The way she said it, so dismissive, made my blood boil. I wanted to scream at her, but I kept my voice steady. "You're lying. You've been sneaking around. I saw the messages, the videos, and now you're trying to pretend it's all innocent." "Well, I'm not stupid, Lisa." Her expression hardened. She said, "You don't know anything. You're just scared I might leave you because you're too busy working all the time. Maybe you're the one who's been cheating on me, huh?" That caught me off guard. She was trying to turn it around, making me the bad guy. I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "I'm not cheating, but I'm damn sure you are. And I'll be damned if I stay in a marriage with someone who thinks she can lie and cheat and get away with it." The words left my mouth like a blade, cold and just as sharp. The silence that followed was deafening. She looked at me with this mixture of fury and contempt, then finally spat out, "You're just overreacting. You're insecure. Maybe I should just leave and find someone who appreciates me." It was a typical Lisa move. Blame everything on me, act like I'm the crazy one. But I knew better now. I knew that what I saw, what I felt, was real. I wasn't just paranoid. She had been dishonest from the start. That night, I slept on the couch, trying to keep my distance from her. I was hurt, yes, but I also felt a strange sense of clarity. I realized I had a choice: stay and forget the lies, or walk away and find some real happiness somewhere else. I hadn't decided what I was going to do yet, but one thing was clear. This wasn't going to be swept under the rug. Whatever happens next, I wasn't going down without a fight. The days that followed were a blur of anger, confusion, and planning. I couldn't focus on anything. All I kept thinking about was her and Mark in that studio, how easily she'd lied, how I'd been blind for so long. I kept replaying everything I knew: her secret texts, her changing behavior, that fucking video. Every time I thought I was close to feeling numb, it hit me again like a punch in the gut. I realized I was not just hurt, I was furious, and I needed to do something about it. I started digging deeper into her phone, her computer, anything I could find that might give me more proof, more leverage. I wasn't planning to just walk away. I wanted her to feel some of what I was feeling. I wanted her to realize what she'd thrown away, what a mistake it was to betray me like that. I knew I had to be careful, though. Lisa was good at twisting things, good at lying her way out of anything. So I had to be strategic. I made copies of all the evidence I could find, saved everything in secure folders, and made sure there was no way she could deny what I had. One night, I decided to bring her into it. I told her I had more evidence: screenshots, messages, the video, and that I wasn't going to hide it anymore. Her reaction was predictable: denial, accusations, her bitchy sneer. "You're stalking me now? Seriously? You're obsessed. I can't believe you're doing this." She acted innocent, like I was the one invading her privacy, rather than the other way around. But I didn't back down. I told her I knew about her affair with Mark, that I had proof, and that I was done playing her game. That's when she snapped. Her face twisted with fury and she spat, "You think you're so smart, don't you? Well, you're just insecure. Mark's just helping me with my posture, that's all. You're crazy if you think otherwise." She was lying again. I could hear it in her voice, but I stayed calm. I just said, "If that's how you want to play it, Lisa, then I'm done. I can't be married to someone so dishonest. I deserve better than this bullshit." She looked at me, eyes blazing, and then suddenly started crying. Fake tears, I knew. She was trying to manipulate me, to make me feel guilty for catching her. "You don't love me anymore, do you?" she whined. "You're just jealous, or maybe you're the one cheating, huh? Maybe you're just mad I found someone better." That was the last straw. I told her, "You're leaving, Lisa. I want you out of this house. I won't be with someone who thinks cheating is okay, who lies to my face like I'm a fool. We're done." She yelled, cursed, and tried to guilt-trip me, but I didn't care. I packed a bag, told her I needed space, and left. It wasn't easy. My chest ached like hell, and I felt like I'd lost a part of myself. But I knew I couldn't stay with her anymore. The betrayal was too deep. the lies too persistent. I felt broken, but also strangely relieved that I finally saw her true face. Living solo for the first time in years was a shock. The house felt emptier, colder, but I was determined not to let her ruin me completely. I reached out to a lawyer, started looking into my options, and began the process of disentangling myself from her. I knew I'd have to fight for everything, my dignity, my peace of mind, my future. But I was done playing nice. She had crossed a line, and I wasn't going to pretend it hadn't happened. I just wanted to find out how to move on from something so toxic, so destructive. And honestly, I didn't know if I'd ever fully trust again. It's like I was betrayed by the person I loved most, and now I had to pick up the pieces and figure out who I was without her. The weeks after she moved out were probably the hardest of my life. Every day felt like I was walking through a fog. I had to face the reality that someone I thought I knew, someone I trusted with everything, had been lying and cheating behind my back. The house was empty, silent except for my own thoughts. I spent hours going over everything, her words, her lies, that damn video. It felt like I was trying to piece together a jigsaw puzzle with missing pieces. How did I miss all the signs? How did I let her manipulate me for so long? I threw myself into action, contacting a lawyer and starting the divorce process. It was a mess. She fought me on every little thing, trying to drag it out, calling me names, accusing me of being a jealous, insecure man. She insisted Mark was just her friend, that I was paranoid. But I knew better now. The evidence was clear, and I refused to let her gaslight me into thinking I was crazy. Every time she called me controlling or insecure, I just reminded myself that I had proof of everything, and she couldn't spin her way out of that. I also made a conscious decision to focus on myself. I started hitting the gym, not for her anymore, but because I needed to regain some sense of control. I saw a therapist too, just to process everything, how I got so blindsided, how to rebuild my self-esteem. It was humiliating, honestly. I'd never been the type to get played like that, but there I was, feeling like a fool. Still, I knew I had to keep going to find a way to piece my life back together, even if it felt like it was falling apart at the seams. One night I was sitting alone in my apartment, looking through old photos of us, happy times before everything went to shit. I realized how much I'd lost, but also how much I still had. My pride, my dignity, my future. I knew I couldn't stay stuck in this emotional pit forever. I had to move on to heal. And part of that was accepting that Lisa was gone, that she wasn't the woman I thought she was. I had to let go of the anger, the betrayal, the heartbreak, and focus on rebuilding my own life. It wasn't easy. Some nights I still woke up haunted by the idea that she was out there, probably with someone new, living her life as if nothing had happened. But I also knew I deserved better. I deserved someone who was honest, who respected me, not someone who would cheat, lie, and manipulate. Slowly, I started to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I wasn't there yet, but I was getting closer. I realized I was stronger than I thought, and I was finally beginning to understand that sometimes the biggest betrayal comes from the people you trust the most. That knowledge, hurt as it was, made me realize I'd never let someone do that to me again. I'd learned my lesson the hard way. Trust is fragile, and once broken, it's almost impossible to repair. But I also learned that I could survive it. And someday, I believed I'd find happiness again, forever wary but wiser. Looking back now, I realized that the hardest part wasn't just discovering her affair or the betrayal itself. It was facing the reality that the woman I loved and trusted had been capable of such deception. The pain was raw, but it also forced me to reevaluate everything I thought I knew about love, trust, and loyalty. I had to accept that sometimes, the person you believe in the most can turn out to be the biggest liar. That's a hard pill to swallow, but it's part of growing up, I suppose. The process of healing has been a long, slow journey. There are days I still wake up with a knot in my stomach, remembering that video, her lies, the way she looked at Mark like I didn't exist. But those days are getting fewer. I've started to rebuild my confidence piece by piece. I've gone out more, reconnected with old friends, and learned to enjoy my own company again. I won't lie, there's always that little voice in the back of my head reminding me of what I lost. but I also know that I'm better off without someone who couldn't be honest with me. One thing I've learned is that you can't control other people's actions, only how you respond to them. I can't change what Lisa did, but I can control how I let it define me. I've chosen to see this as a painful but valuable lesson. Trust has to be earned, and I won't make the mistake of giving it so freely again. I've become more cautious, more aware of red flags, and more intentional about how I treat myself. Most importantly, I've come to accept that sometimes walking away is the best move. Staying in a toxic, dishonest relationship would have only crushed me further. I had to detach, focus on myself, and find my own happiness. That's where I am now, healing, stronger, and finally ready to move forward with a clearer understanding of what I deserve. To anyone reading this who might be going through something similar, I'd say this: trust is fragile and betrayal cuts deep. But you're stronger than you think. Lean on your friends, seek help if you need it, and don't be afraid to walk away from what's hurting you. You don't owe anyone your happiness, especially not someone who treats you like an option. Take your time, heal, and when you're ready, open your heart again, wiser, more cautious, but also more capable of recognizing what true respect and love really look like. Life's messy, but it's also worth fighting for.